Nothing came out of the barn after I signed that paper.
Okay, I kind of don't believe you.
But I ain't never been in this kind of situation before.
You can go ahead and raise your right hands. Mr. Fitz, I can't see you, but I'd ask you to raise your right hand. Ms. Jennings has raised her right hand. You swear or affirm any testimony you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
All right. So I did get a lot of information here, basically, because you guys send me the contract. Essentially, this is what I want to ask you. So, Ms. Jennings, when you signed this contract, or at least some period before July 22nd, did you get a chance to look inside the barn?
Yes.
All right. So in other words, you saw items that you considered to be of value besides the ones that Mr. Fitz wanted to keep. You signed this agreement, and by the time you go back there with people on the 22nd, those items are now missing from the barn.
Correct.
All right. So, Mr. Fitz, you see the problem here. Ms. Jennings signed a contract with you because she decided that the items that she'd be able to get per this contract were worth it to her, worth more than $2,500 in cash she paid, and that, you know, for a while she wasn't allowed in there, but by the time she's in there ready with guys to move stuff out, everything's missing. You understand what Ms. Jennings' complaint is, right?
She's saying that, the way I'm understanding, she's saying that I sold stuff after I signed that piece of paper, and I did not do that.
Mr. Fitz, I want you to listen to me instead of what you think is being said. So,
Okay.
She signed a contract that the contents of the house of the barn, she's going to be able to take those away, except for the items that are spelled out in the contract. She pays you money to do that, and then, you know, 12 days later when she shows up, all the stuff that she saw before she signed that contract isn't there anymore.
I don't know what to say, John.
Well, I know what to say. You or someone you know cherry-picked all that stuff out of there because it was worth money. And so Miss Jennings is standing there with nothing worth the $2,500 she paid.
What stuff was it she's talking about was high value that was in the garage that she was saying that I sold after I signed the paper? What value? There weren't no big valuable stuff in the pole barn, but small stuff in the pole barn.
Okay, this is what I want to tell you, Mr. Fitz. Did anything go out of the house or the barn between July 10th and July 22nd?
Nothing came out of the barn after I signed that paper.
Okay, I kind of don't believe you, but I'm going to have Miss Jennings explain why she's saying there was things in the barn that she saw, and then by the time she came and get them, they weren't there anymore. Miss Jennings, what are you talking about?
There was a pipe bender back there. There were just lots of open spaces of things that were just gone. Everything, like, there was little things left in the barn. It was almost all gone.
Okay. What percentage of stuff would you say was in the barn that you saw when you signed that contract that was gone by the time you showed up?
Half the barn was gone.
Okay. And did you confront Mr. Fitz about that? What was his explanation?
Yes, we did. He said that it was his stuff and he gave it to his friends.
All right. So, Mr. Fitz, that's kind of what I'm talking about. You gave away some items to people that you know?
No, that's not true.
So you didn't say that.
Everything was still in the garage when I signed that paper. Everything was still in there. When they came, when I finally let the door open, we had a contract that they clean up the house, get everything done in the house first, then we go out to the garage. We go out to the garage. The guy tells me that I sold stuff out of the garage after I signed that paper. I told him, no, I did not. He called me a liar. I called him a liar. We had a few words.
Okay, Mr. Fitz, I'm not concerned with whether or not you sold stuff, because maybe you just gave it away. But you understand? So you're telling me there's nothing that left the barn after you signed this contract before Miss Jennings was allowed in on the 22nd?
I did not sell nothing or give nothing away after I signed that paper. Everything was still in the garage. That they saw was still in the garage.
Okay, so what is Miss Jennings saying when she said she confronted you about it and you said it's your stuff and you gave it away to your friends?
She didn't confront me at all about anything. Her workers were the one that confronted me about the stuff and told me, then threatened that the stuff that they already took out of the house that day, he's going to dump it in the yard and just say to hell with it. I said, what?
All right,
then
so let's talk about one thing. Let's talk about a pipe bender.
$400. Did they
What
say
happened
anything?
to the pipe bender?
The pipe bender, I never had a pipe bender in there.
Okay.
That's all I can say is I did not sell nothing else after I signed that paper with her. Everything was still in the garage that was there. Maybe it's all...
I'm sorry, that was Mr. Fitz, what is it that you think Miss Jennings saw in the barn that she thought was worth $2,500?
What about the toolbox that was in there that I was able to keep? What about the cherry picker I was able to keep? What about the torpedo heater that I was able to keep? That's
Yes,
why
sir. All of that was in the contract, and you agreed to keep that. What I'm saying is, what did Miss Jennings see that she thought was worth giving you $2,500?
Tools, welders, drill press, sandblast cabinet, a solar tank where you clean your parts up, tools to do engine overhauls. I mean, I didn't sell nothing after I signed the paper there, because what it is, I sold all the high value stuff way before I even called them in to buy the stuff from me. And now they're saying
and then
that
why was it that they weren't allowed in from July 10th to July 22nd?
the agreement was to get the house done first, then we'll go to the garage. That was the agreement. A verbal word agreement that I had with Liz.
Okay, but that's not what the contract says. I'm looking at the contract.
Well, my reading ability is not that great, so I mean.
All right, Ms. Jennings, you saw him, you heard Mr. Fitz go through a list of items he thought were in the garage that were worth it.
Yes, those were gone.
Okay. So, ma'am, of the $2,500, in other words, some of this is labor that you're doing, right? Sort of cleaning out the house. And then you just expect that on top of that, you'd at least make your $2,500 worth of stuff you're allowed to take.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, did you take anything out of the house or the barn? What was the value of what was left?
We didn't take anything out of the barn at all. And the house value stuff, there was so much moldy stuff, we filled up 5 dumpsters full.
Okay, that's not my question. My question is, what did you get that was
$500 of
useful?
value.
Okay. And then when you say, so that's the, you said you had expenses of $500. What are those expenses?
Yes, I paid 5 boys to help me.
Okay, labor, you actually paid. All right. So essentially what I'm going to do here, ma'am, is I understand what you're asking for, and I agree with you. I don't know what happened. When you said you made a police report, was there any follow-up to that?
No, nothing.
Okay, so you haven't been contacted by them?
No.
Did you report that as what?
As, like,
I mean, to
stolen
me,
money.
you're calling that breach of contract, but did you suspect that somebody got in there and took that stuff?
No, he had told me he gave it to his friends, and that's why I had reported it, because he had given it away.
All right. And when you say he told you that, you mean to one of these people you had working, not to you directly?
No, he told me.
Okay.
So
I am gonna find damages here, but I'm only gonna find damages at $2,500, ma'am. I understand where you got your $3,000, but if you were able to recover at least partial of that, that would go against that. But you are able also, you paid out of pocket $105.05 to have Mr. Fitz served and to have this filed. You would get that on top too. We just call that something different. We call that cost. So you really have a judgment here, $2,605.05. That judgment will get sent out to parties in the mail. I will explain this to both of you, although I'm not sure why Miss Jennings
well, what about the $400
signing.
cash he got from me that Rodney took from me, and then hollered out to Liz that I got the $400. Let's go.
Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't countersue here.
I don't know nothing about doing this countersuit or trying to sue somebody. I ain't never been in this kind of situation before.
All right. Well, so listen to me. Because you had a contested hearing, either party would have a right to say, I don't agree with what just happened there. I want you to appeal this to General Civil. To appeal this to General Civil in front of the district court judges, you must do that within 7 days of today's date. Your window of opportunity to appeal this further closes after that date. And secondly, you must do that in writing. It is not good enough to just request that orally. The parties understand their rights on appeal?
Yes.
That you can barely
All right.
read and write.
I already told him that.
Then we are all set here. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss parties. Thank you.
Well, hold on now. What do I got to pay?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. You'll get a copy of the judgment in the mail.
How much is the judgment?
I just said that, sir. It's $2,605.05.
Returning his stuff.
Are they going to be returning all my stuff then that they took out of my house? That they saying there's no value? That's the reason they really bought the stuff, because that's all the stuff in the house.
Sir,
That's what they were after.
were you listening at all? She said she did recover about $500 worth of useful things. I took that off the amount of money
That's not
that you
true.
would owe her.
There was a lot more stuff that they took out of the house worth more than $500.
All right, sir. We're all set. I'm going to go ahead and release you. Thank you.
So the judge